There is a big world out there that is not on crypto Twitter and doesn't come into Hexagon Twitter spaces and doesn't even really know the specs of Pulse Chain. They might not even be aware it exists, and they own Hex. Doesn't mean that they won't become a little more aware as it's going to be noisy, right? We're going to make a lot of boom when the chain finally launches, so that'll attract some people. But you're still talking about a world of billions of people, and some of them just simply look for opportunities the same way that people go to like CoinMarketCap to see what's new, what's on the trending, what's on hot, whatever. Some people do that with Uniswap trade volume because they see that as being an opportunistic place for either liquidity providing or purchasing something that's attractive to a lot of DeFi users. So I wouldn't sleep on the big chain either. A lot of people, like talk smack about Bitcoin just because they weren't around to experience a lot of the major gains. But that doesn't mean that more people don't know about Bitcoin than any other chain, right? Like it is the most popularized brand, and we'll see how influencers behave, right? So Richard has doxed a few prominent crypto YouTubers who have sacrificed for Pulsechain and Pulsex, but we obviously haven't seen their channels necessarily spend much time, if any, shilling the project. So that'll be a variable that's kind of hard to anticipate. But if a few of them pivot, and if we're moving into sort of a bull market, especially, there could be a lot of influx in sort of these waves from masses who have either not heard about it yet or have only heard the rumblings, but once their kind of preferred voice on YouTube says, wow, I'm so excited about this 1000x potential coin, then they could FOMO in as well. So that'll be an interesting unknown.
The launch pad for Pulse Chain instead of it'll be Go Airly. You know what I mean? It'll be basically exactly the same, except it'll be different websites and different repos because it'll obviously be all using Pulse Chain instead of Go Airly Ethereum.
Does anyone know when V3 comes out if they're going to have the new sacrifice values updated, or if they're going to use the ones from V2?
Well, the sacrifices are being constantly updated. I don't know the last date that they updated them on the sacrifice checker, but V3 testnet, the sacrifice balances go into your wallet will be based off the sacrifice checker website. They won't be the same as V2B. Okay. They'll be updated to the current values that are in the sacrifice checker. Sacrifice checker is the
what about the values of the coins we had? Over the last however many months, people have bought and then sold coins.
V2B, it's a complete reset. Everything you did on V2B doesn't matter at all. It's going to completely reset, and then you're starting from scratch again with a completely new testnet.
So the stuff that we've done over the last few months, will our wallet show that in V3?
No, it doesn't matter at all. Okay. It's like the V2B is going to go away. They're going to delete it. They're going to populate V3 with your sacrifice balances. Mine's basically the same, right? Mine hasn't changed like that much. And then most people's hasn't changed that much, but other people's have because they need to fix problems. So whatever those balances are, whatever those points are in the sacrifice checker will be reflected in V3. And then obviously the PulseX liquidity and like all that stuff will happen too.
Thank you.
No problem. It's like a redo, before mainnet.
It's basically a whole new network. So it'd be like the difference between switching between Ethereum and BSC, right? Like
yeah, it's completely
is one network. V3 is a new network.
V3 is a completely brand new network that's taking a closer snapshot because V2B was March 10 of last year. V3 will be maybe this month, like some block this month maybe is the block height for V3. Great, that would be awesome.
Very cool.
Yeah, there's a lot of people. It's not that's a common question because they think V2B and they're like, no, you don't get any credit. Like if you're a super whale in some ERC20 token on V2B, like that doesn't translate to V3. And then other people are like under the misguided assumption that whatever you do on testnet will somehow apply to mainnet, which is also not the case at all. It's a literally completely separate network that have no bearing on anything. It's like you get your points translated to V3, PulseX gets deployed with liquidity, blah blah, all that stuff. Amen bot, all that stuff happens on V3, and then when mainnet happens, they do a completely new network that does all the same stuff with whatever sacrifice balances are, which are relatively the same probably, and like it's completely new network that everything you do on V3 has no bearing on what you're going to do on mainnet because it's going to be a complete reset. So what's great is when they launch V3 and you look in your wallet, the balances there should be for most people the same for mainnet. So it's like one less chance for everyone to look in their wallets and say, I got all the tokens I'm expecting. It's the same as the sacrifice checker, right? Because you're not like, also you're not going off of like Pulse Lead and all these other random websites that give you information. Like those don't matter at all. The sacrifice checker website developed by Pulsechain devs are the ones that matter. That's the points that you're getting to get. No other value that someone may have told you or some other random website may have given you is the value. Only the sacrifice checker. To make that clear, I think most people are well aware of that. We're like a year and a half into this thing.
Where is there a link for? Because back when V2 came out, I had my Pulsex swapping, all that stuff. I had all the websites for that in my DApp, and I had to restart MetaMask, and I lost all the things. And I've been trying to figure out. I'm lagging on it because nothing's really out yet. But I need to start, since we're starting to move towards that direction. I need to get my DApps ready for doing my swappings and all that stuff on Pulsechain. Where do I go? Because I went to Pulsechain.com. I've gone to Pulsechain, and I can't find anything for like where it was where I went in my DApp to like swap my coins on PulseNet.
No, you're gonna have a V3. There's gonna be a V3 Pulsex. There's gonna be a different link. It'll be whatever in the URL. It'll be like V3. So you still can't find it because it's not published yet. It won't be published until V3. And then I'm sure in the Pulsechain chat they'll post it. Mainnet will be pulsex.com, and the link from the main page it'll be mainnet. So it'll be right there. Probably like app period
So
Pulsex or some URL that's the mainnet.
So like when I go to Pulsex.com and it has all the links to set up for V2, it'll have the same shit once mainnet launches.
Yeah, and it'll have buy the same stuff for V3. It'll have all those links for V3s right there on the front page.
Okay, perfect. I know how to do that.
Yeah. I mean, well, obviously, like the day that they released the V3, they have to update that website. They have to make the RPCs public. They have to there's a lot of work that goes into releasing these networks, and then that's one of the things they're doing, right? They have to have that. They've done it many times, so there's a little bit of work there, a couple days worth of work at least, even if they automate everything.
Now, continuing what I was trying to say, I'm not going to put all my whole bag and buy other things. I had a little piece that I wanted to just grab a bit of Pulse X, because when I sacrificed for Pulse, I thought, okay, only afterwards when Pulse takes off, there's going to come other projects. But no, Pulse X came, and I almost had nothing to put into it. So I am Pulse X hungry. Let's say when it launches.
And so are a lot of whales. A lot of whales, when they get their hands on Pulsex, specifically, they prefer to have it under their own domain. Let's put it this way, because voting rights sits with Pulsex owners for suggestions that come in
for Pulsex, right?
Yeah.
My strategy is put everything into a validator, or 2 or 3, divide it up. So if one fails, there's always the other 2, and sit on my thumb for two years. That's my plan, and have just a little bag just to play around, of course.
Dude, let's look at Richard Hart's tweet. Let's have a look. Flexing is boring. I'm just focused on building and making the world a better place. What a fucking idiot. The dude has just spent the last 2 years flexing his money, his penis size, which by the way, probably very small. I've bought the world's biggest diamond. I've got watches. I've got cars. And then the dude tweets about building stuff. Dude, look, what the fuck?
Listen, he got you. He got you talking about it. It worked.
Exactly. I've been telling
Stop whinging about Richard Hart. Stop whinging about Richard Hart, mate. Get over it.
I don't respond. I'm sorry, dude. I don't understand your language.
So I've been talking about this for months and months and months, that this is all done on purpose, and when the time is right, Richard will pivot and he will stop doing the outrage marketing because he got a lot of eyes on him. And then when the market's about to turn or he's about to launch his product, he's going to become another good guy, and he's going to behave himself, and he's going to push normal marketing. I believe that tweet is the pivot.